Hi everyone, my name is Kunal Ram, Director of X Interior Design Limited, specialist in drainage and bathroom solutions. Over the past 12 years, X Interior Design has successfully provided bathroom and drainage solutions on projects in industrial, residential and commercial fields all over West Africa. Our vision is to be one of the largest bathroom and drainage solution providers in the whole of West Africa. We represent global brands such as Jaqua, Oli, Glass, Akko and Salgar. Our products are readily available in Kumasi, Takoradi, Tamale and Accra.
Jaqua is a complete bathroom solutions under one roof. We have faucets, sanitary ware, flushing systems, showers, shower enclosures, whirlpools, freestanding bathtubs, inbuilt bathtubs, spas, saunas, and steam solutions. So, this is a manhole cover. It comes in round and square. We have composite and cast iron. We have the rooftop drains, kitchen galley drains, grease traps. Then we have the Akko Q-Max for industrial or warehousing or port areas where you have a large surface area with heavy duty trucks passing. Then we have the monoblock drain, and we have the shower channels and for the various types of drains for both garage, entrance, balcony, etc.
Visit our showroom at Plot 34 Main Spintex Road, Accra.
Welcome to Stone Depot, Ghana's most trusted in natural stone, custom fabrication, and distribution. We produce from premium quality marble, granite, and quartz slabs procured from around the world. Stone Depot is also proud to be the official distributor of Cosentino products in Ghana, Southstone Quartz, and Decton Ultra compact surfaces. Our factory in Accra is geared with state-of-the-art machinery and professionals who can assist in customizing different stone shapes and sizes to suit your unique needs. We fabricate and install your unique measurements and templates exactly as you want them. Our professionals have mastered this age-old trade and guarantee the precision, quality, and beauty your project deserves. Between 2019 and 2020, we've supplied the Ghanaian market with 24,000 square meters of natural stone and created over 100 new jobs. Over the years, and with thousands of satisfied clients, Stone Depot has placed itself as the most trusted natural stone fabricator in Ghana. Our professionalism is displayed in works such as the Signature Building, the African Regent Hotel, the National Memorial Monument for the late Jerry John Rawlings, the Tribute Memorial Statue for the late Major Mahama, Imperial Homes, and Clifton Homes. At Stone Depot, we are always one step ahead when it comes to innovative trends and technological advances in the natural stone fabrication market. We are first to recently embark on the development of epoxy resin-based terrazzo slabs. We invite you to discover the endless possibilities that we have to offer for all your upcoming projects.
If people from Messi, I remember them. Me this come on boss so any 1 year cra. Franchising nana pay. Me the kaka cho see enko DBS. And I saw the banner show off as for answer. DBS for cra the material for frab friend Color Link Plus. If a day is you are that boss of a DBS for the boy. Na DBS insano. Yanko DBS for no. You see DBS for one chance in beer. The ball dance one. Empa enubi na mepe boga no cre Color Link Plus material bia DBS akofa free Europe aba ye the ball dance wa emfedi gidia ye wo munti amount 20 years warranty 20 years warranty look me jam about to new one you company be see ko boss no apa afedi
na saa color link plus material we say so e was self cleansing properties bia insuo to na ahokoro ne ho awo dam nso a wo dam na nyunu
se DBS owo saa di pa say dia me munkotu mi dan no so ade pa di obo wo ka mprenu an share.
Good morning, dear members. Very happy to see you all here. I would like to, first of all, apologize for not being able to start as advertised. As advertised, we were supposed to start at 9 o'clock promptly. However, as you can see, the number in the room, we are still not up to the number that is expected. However, we can't continue to wait. We'll have to start at some point. May I humbly request that we move forward to fill the seats so that we can have a progressive meeting. I'm sure some of our members are still, and more in the middle would help if it's okay, just so the first two rows are filled. I'm sure if council members move to these seats up here, there'll be virtually nobody in the crowd. So please, if you would oblige, those in the back, please, if you could move to the front. Those in the back, if you could move to the front, please, so that we can look to start today's proceedings. Right. Thank you all very much for complying. I'd like to start today's proceedings by requesting that we have an opening prayer. And I'd like to call no other than my Assistant Secretary, Senna Gidigap, and pray for us so that we can start today's proceedings. Thank you, Senna. With a round of applause, please, may we encourage her.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for bringing us to the third day of our AGM 2022. We ask you to stir today's program, give us understanding, give us wisdom and insight into all that we do. Let our voting go on successfully, and let all the deliberations also go on successfully. We commit each and every one of the members on Zoom, and also those seated here and those on their way, that the Lord will protect them and bless them. And at the end of it all, we'll give him praise that he's been good to us. This and many other things we ask through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you very much, Senna, for the prayer. I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome you all to this year's annual general meeting. Today is the business day, and we'll try to cover the main matters of the work of the Institute in the past year, and also read the minutes as is custom and as is standard. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the President of the Institute, SM Korte, please, with a round of applause. I'd also like to acknowledge the presence of the President-in-waiting and to-be installed President, Architect Foster Osai Akuno. And indeed, council members here present, please, if you could stand up for a round of applause. And also some of our distinguished members who are also here seated, those from academia, past secretaries, those who support us in many ways, and indeed your good selves. I'd like to acknowledge your presence, and I look forward to a very fruitful deliberation. So a round of applause to you all. Would like to launch in first and have just a quick video whilst we prepare, and I would like to ask council members to move to the front, because immediately after the advertisement by the Platinum sponsor, we will quickly delve into the matter of the day. So whilst we listen to the sponsor's message, which will be shown on your screens, may council members move to the front so that we start today's business. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Kunal Ram, Director of X Interior Design Limited, specialist in drainage and bathroom solutions. Over the past 12 years, X Interior Design has successfully provided bathroom and drainage solutions on projects in industrial, residential and commercial fields all over West Africa. Our vision is to be one of the largest bathroom and drainage solution providers in the whole of West Africa. We represent global brands such as Jaqua, Oli, Glass, Akko and Salgar. Our products are readily available in Kumasi, Takoradi, Tamale and Accra.
Jaqua is a complete bathroom solutions under one roof. We have faucets, sanitary ware, flushing systems, showers, shower enclosures, whirlpools, freestanding bathtubs, inbuilt bathtubs, spas, saunas, and steam solutions. So, this is a manhole cover. It comes in round and square. We have composite and cast iron. We have the rooftop drains, kitchen galley drains, grease traps. Then we have the AquaQ Max for industrial or warehousing or port areas where you have a large surface area with heavy duty trucks passing. Then we have the monoblock drain, and we have the shower channels and for the various types of drains for both garage, entrance, balcony, etc.
Visit our showroom at Plot 34 Main Spintex Road, Accra.
Welcome to Stone Depot, Ghana's most trusted in natural stone, custom fabrication, and distribution. We produce from premium quality marble, granite, and quartz slabs procured from around the world. Stone Depot is also proud to be the official distributor of Cosentino products in Ghana, Southstone Quartz, and Decton Ultra Compact surfaces. Our factory in Accra is geared with state-of-the-art machinery and professionals who can assist in customizing different stone shapes and sizes to suit your unique needs. We fabricate and install your unique measurements and templates exactly as you want them. Our professionals have mastered this age-old trade and guarantee the precision, quality, and beauty your project deserves. Between 2019 and 2020, we've supplied the Ghanaian market with 24,000 square meters of natural stone and created over 100 new jobs. Over the years, and with thousands of satisfied clients, Stone Depot has placed itself as the most trusted natural stone fabricator in Ghana. Our professionalism is displayed in works such as the Signature Building, the African Regent Hotel, the National Memorial Monument for the late Jerry John Rawlings, the Tribute Memorial Statue for the late Major Mahama, Imperial Homes, and Clifton Homes. At Stone Depot, we are always one step ahead when it comes to innovative trends and technological advances in the natural stone fabrication market. We were first to recently embark on the development of epoxy resin-based terrazzo slabs. We invite you to discover the endless possibilities that we have to offer for all your upcoming projects.
Right, thank you all very much for your attention on the sponsors. In the afternoon, we will have them in person also giving us their presentations, particularly the Platinum sponsor. So we'll quickly run into the Honorary Secretary's report. As we sit, I was just making consultations. The Treasurer is on her way to the meeting, and if she gets here on time, her report will follow mine immediately, but if not, we will move it into the second session, which will be in the afternoon, so that she can read our report and we can ask the necessary questions. I've asked that it be projected, so it will look at that report. But before I delve into the report properly. Please just stay on the very first page, and as we go, I would let you know. Yeah. No, it's okay. I mean, I can see it. All right. Thank you very much. Mr. President, Architect SM Quartey, Mr. Vice President, and coincidentally, President-in-waiting, Architect Foster Osanya-Kono, distinguished council members, the registrar, I saw him here early this morning, but I think he's had to run to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs quickly and will return. Dr. Iyabotwe, all protocols reserved, board members of the ARC here present. The fellows of the Institute also here present and online, those who joined us, and indeed to the entire membership of the Institute of Architects. It gives me great pleasure to stand before you today to present to you the annual report of the 2021-2022 tenure of this council. Before I go into the business of the day, can we please be upstanding as we observe a minute of silence for our dearly departed architects. Architect Anthony Kwesi Dagadu. Architect George Osei Asumeni. And sadly, as yesterday's events transpired, we received the news that Architect Bob Freku also has departed. May their souls rest in perfect peace. Please, may we be seated. And so please, if you could project the, I know Bob's comes with not a lot of people heard about it yesterday, but as the events went on, we heard he passed in the morning, which is very sad. We will go into the report which I have projected on the screen, which will hopefully capture the essence of our work in the last year. The theme of the AGM is architecture past, present, and future. Focus on architecture in Ghana, but cut short for the words. And it has been practiced in the last 3 AGMs, which I have presided, the use of Adinkra symbols. Please, Mr. MC, if you could go back to that symbol, if you start, yes. And I think basically all those symbols have spoken to the tenure that we met, and this year indeed, we are looking at hope, that we believe that we are in a hopeful place and that we will be able to continue to sustain the work that was started in 1962. And so the symbol representative of that, we have come from a Senator Krema, which basically looked at the issues that we had with tongue and teeth, the issues that we had at the level of the ARC, its lack of formation of board, and also the confusion that existed, till we eventually, got to the next year that looked at Inchinchim and the tortuous paths that we went through as a council to try and achieve what had to be achieved. And now we sit at this point of hope, and which is what the symbol tries to communicate. Our contents are pretty straightforward. The introduction, vision and purpose have remained the same in the past years, and we will then look at the annual report directly. So please, if you could just scroll all the way. This document has continued to build up that the aim of the president was to build a visible GIE. I think the president's vision when he came in and was shared with council and indeed with the membership was building a visible GIE that was dynamic, more collaborative, and above all, focused on national issues. So let me delve then into the report itself. After the AGM in June 2021, the Institute organized, as part of the effects, because that AGM itself is counted as something that was done by the Institute organized the second virtual AGM from the 23rd to the 25th of June 2021. The event commenced on 23rd June with a panel discussion on the theme, My City, Between Vision and Reality. The main AGM day featured discussions on foreigners practicing in Ghana illegally to engagements between the public and private sector. Voting for 2022-2024 incoming president or president-in-waiting was successfully carried out on an electronic platform, which is what we'll be using today, and I understand text messages are going around to members too. I think some of you have already started voting. It will happen till it closes in the afternoon. We have the Electoral Commissioner's representative here. He himself could not make it, but I think when he comes, he'll tell us more about that. Following the restoration of the mandate of the Ghana Institute of Architects to run the professional practice exams, the PPE, by the Architects Registration Council of Ghana, PPE 2021 was successfully organized with 31 candidates finally sitting the written exam on the 24th and 25th of June. As we sit now, the second run of examinations has also started, and we've had a lot more people present themselves for the exams. I think, if I'm not wrong, about 58 of them. In the end, only 56 of them came through, and I think almost all of them have passed to the first phase of interviews to move on to write the second examination. Indeed, Council took a step to put in certain measures after realizing that quite a number of us are not going through any pupillage under any architect. Some are working with companies that have no supervision from architects and coming in to write the exam and hoping to pass. We realized also, disturbingly, that people would present a case study that had no connection to their logbooks. So they would tell you that they worked on building A. It's just when you look in the logbooks, there's no record of that being part of the logbook. Having taken this seriously, we think that in the first year when the bells were sounded, of which 54 became 31. This year, we are very happy that we have received a lot of compliance with those who submitted themselves for it. So we are very happy about that. Second item, Architecture House. The Architecture House renovation project, commenced by previous council, has progressed steadily. We have successfully completed the builder's works, and the building is moving to its final stages of completion. And I think if you could scroll to, there's a sheet with Architecture House. It's ahead, yes. Good. Please stay there. And if you could enlarge the images. As we sit now, and through the drive of our president, who reached out to many of you members, whom we are most grateful for, the Treasury Secretary will inform on how much we were able to raise from the membership. And we are very excited that members and suppliers and sponsors all came together to make this dream a reality. Indeed, I did say to the outgoing president, SM Korte, that it was my hope that the amount of work he had put in prior to him becoming president, that was in the period of him as president in waiting, even to the period for him as president, I thought that he should spearhead the opening of the building. But in his humility, he did say that, well, he will still be around even though he may not be president. And so let's finish everything the way we ought to, so that the incoming Foster Sakuno would run this opening. So you can see in the pictures, if you look at there was no skimming or paint on it, there was no glasswork in it, and we've managed the institute to a point where we've been able to get the glass in, the tiling done, the ceilings almost installed, because they had to wait a bit for the glass guy. But it is it's with confidence that I believe that at some point in the new dispensation of council, sometime this year, there will be an official opening which will recognize each and every member and also supplier sponsor who has supported the redevelopment of Architecture House. On to September 2021. The month of September saw Council nominate the following to represent the GIA on the International Union of Architects, of which we are members. The following: Architect Daniel Kojo was selected to represent us in the field of professional practice. On international competitions, and after making a lot of noise in the media, as you are all aware, about the need for competition, the UIA reached out that the organization had an arm that looked at international competitions, and it was Council's decision that Architect Augustus Richardson, my good self, represent us on that committee. Please do note, and like I always say, making those decisions is very hard on a practicing architect. Any member of council who has served cannot participate in competitions. It's a conflict of interest. So we make these decisions and we suffer for them. So it's a good thing. We need somebody there, but we need to also present great fidelity when it comes to these issues. So very blessed by that election to that office on behalf of the Ghana Institute of Architects. On education, Professor Daniel Dua was also elected to represent the institute at that level of the UIA. And then on the sustainable development goals, Architect Akosua Mensah Obing was also selected by Council to represent our interests. October 2021, Council collated responses from membership for further submission to the Ministry of Works and Housing in response to their requests for opinions on the review of the Architects Act, the Rent Act, and the Condominium Bill. If you do remember, we sent this out to membership and received all your comments and further forwarded to the ministry. And this process is ongoing. And we are very assured that our comments are being taken very seriously, particularly on the issues of the Architects Act. World Architecture Day was also celebrated, as we know, in the month of October, precisely on the 4th of October, as a physical event with live streaming, because of the COVID issues that we had. The theme was the future of our cities, showcasing the Ghanaian architect. Architects were invited to submit projects for exhibition at that event, and architects and firms which submitted for this submission were Estete Associates, Keystone Architects, Architect Abena Enima Ejay, Architect Kweku Kedi, Atelier, Orthner and Orthner Associates, Arc Zenos Evolved, Incept Architectural Consult, Archetype, Brick Lane Development Group, Andrew Pra Consults, and Architect Samuel Adebi. All these members we are very grateful for, because as the President said, it's always been a challenge to get our members to put their works out. So we are most grateful to these members for presenting their works. But that said, I think yesterday there was a discussion about the 60th anniversary celebration, which was duly launched, which will be looking out at an exhibition, very extensive exhibition, on the works of Ghanaian architects. And we will be coming out. Luckily, I chaired that committee to make it a success, even though I take leave of my office. But we'll be coming out to architects to showcase what we do. I think we are too silent about what we do, and therefore all walks of people wake up and speak very derogatorily about the Ghanaian architect. It is with stuff like this that as we celebrate the 60th anniversary, we would like to show what we've been able to do in that time. It will not only be architectural works, it will also be written works by architects which we will publicize at least for a month for the general public to participate in those events. So please make yourselves available, polish your works, and let's see some good stuff being posted out in the name of Ghanaian architecture. The successful event was sponsored by Sangoba, X Interior Design Limited, Crown Paints, ARG, Cabinet, and was held at this very venue, which was telecast, basically. Let me say also that we want to especially thank our sponsors for being very supportive of the work that we do here at the Institute. Without them, the kind of monies they have contributed is not to be taken lightly. So we are most grateful to them. In November and December, a meeting of the members of the Institute who were in non-private or who are in non-private practice was held on the 18th of November 2021. The discussions from the meeting culminated into the formation of a 3-member committee by Council to compile these findings for onward dissemination to the appropriate institutions. SM Quartey, President, spearheaded this very heavily. The committee has done its report, and I believe that it is yet to be circulated to these bodies so that action can be taken. A joint induction ceremony for the newly registered architects was held on 7 December 2021 at the auditorium of the Ghana Shippers Authority. We did this together with the Architects Registration Council, and it was a very successful event. January and February, Council went on a drive of writing to foreign firms who are practicing within the Ghanaian jurisdiction illegally. Some of these firms have responded and committed to getting their documents together and going through the due processes of regularizing their practices. In this tenure, we have, as you all interestingly saw, I had my reservations about the minister singling out an individual to give the honor, but it's all good. It's all well for us. But in the news, it was touted that we were wrong about the registration of one Sir David Adjei. And I think that for those who doubted our resolve and what truths we told, one must ask the question then, how did that event happen and what did that event mean? But I believe that it is clear that we are doing the work to ensure that people comply in this country. It is very worrying, and I know I share this sentiment truly with the President, how foreigners believe that they can come into this country and just practice without due process. None of us, gentlemen, can work in Togo. I say Togo because it's the closest, nor Cote d'Ivoire, without the due process. So we will continue to enforce that people go through the right procedures without fear or favor to anybody. So let me say also to those out there who are still practicing illegally to regularize, because the time is coming when we will not entertain this kind of behavior within this space. The Ghana Insurance College ran a design competition through the Institute of Architects. And if you do remember, we had an open expression of interest to members, and the only requirement to participate was to be an architect in good standing, either individually or as a firm. We will continue to encourage these practices as long as we continue to drive this effort to get private and public sector to engage with architects to come out with best ideas. Let me say that it has been misconstrued by some elements in government that by selecting or handpicking a single architect, that architect represents the Institute of Architects. That thought, we have made very clear to government, is a fallacy. if you do not engage the Institute of Architects to run a fair competition of ideas for you to select an individual, and you tell me that you hired one of our own members to do the e-blocks, and we met quite a number of them, and they tried to throw it in our faces. Dear members, let me encourage that per our constitution as an institute, and indeed in the Architects Act, which governs the space, I'm happy that the ARC is represented here in one capacity or the other. But if you're a member of the institute and you are open to competitions, either by government or private sector, and that competition has not been duly informed the ARC, it is your duty to inform the ARC about it, who will eventually inform the GIA about it. Not that the GIA has to do the competition necessarily, it's the best way. But per the law, the GIA has to ensure that the modality of the competition suits what it has set out as a competition methodology. So, for example, most of us participate in competitions because we know the market, and because money is hard to come by, people make decisions that are not worthy. We have put in our documents that in competitions, architects must be paid honoraria for the hard work that you put in to do those competitions. Indeed, there is no competition in this country that has paid commensurately to any architect the kind of ideas they put into these works. It is what the Institute is fighting for, and it will continue to fight beyond this time for those practices to be observed. So may I caution all of us to encourage ourselves whenever we are invited to these competitions to have the proponents do the right thing by first registering it with the ARC and ensuring that your interests as a practitioner are protected. So the Ghana Insurance Competition was won by Brick Lane Development in a fair competition, and we've received citations. We have received citations. There were 14 companies that expressed interest, and because of the rigor of the system, eventually 5 submitted their drawings. We had stated very clearly in those documents that if you did not submit your drawing on a certain date and a particular time, and not a minute after, your drawings will not be accepted. It is good to note that in that process of receiving 5, the last 2 that came at 301 initially, later reported as 303 in correction, and the other one came at 306. Interesting to note, without mentioning names, the people who presented these drawings are at some of the highest levels of the profession. Without fear or favor, we discounted the drawings on advising the client because we cannot encourage misbehavior. This has not been the practice in the past. So we are on a path to ensure that fidelity is at its highest, and we will continue to ensure that everybody gets a fair day. The drawings were presented and adjudication had, and together with the adjudicators selected at the highest level on that competition, this document, this report, which has been published to council, will be made public to everybody so that we know exactly what went into the competition, headed by, on the design side, Professor H.N.A. Wellington, who we all know, and also Professor S.O. Afram, who was chairman of the committee. This report will be presented so everybody knows the process is fairly. So Brick Lane won that competition. We wish them the best in executing that particular project. We are currently engaged with the National Pensions Authority in a competition. Again, because of what they have heard on the news, I must say, my report doesn't even capture the number of myriad appearances on media, also part of the president's drive of visibility by a number of us. Foster Osakono was on radio, Tony Asari is constantly on radio, supporting the Institute. Nane Kuabema is on radio supporting the Institute. SM Korte is on radio. Charles Setenyo is on radio. It is a force to ensure that the public is aware that architects are here and we are not going to go anywhere, and that we will continue to decry the misbehavior in our space. In March and April, Council pledged to support the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, and the Apiache Support Fund by nominating 2 of its members to assist the Apiache reconstruction project implementation. These members are no other than architect William Nee Teiko Evans Amfum and architect Mrs. Christina Asma, selected for their work in these areas by council to participate. That brings us to current day, and I would make my closing statements as we move on with this. It was evident when the call for aspirants to the 2022-2024 council came to membership that I will be taking leave of this venerable seat. I would like to start on my own personal note by thanking the entire membership here present and online for your support in the past 4 years during my tenure as Honorary Secretary. Your prayers and criticisms have kept us all going in a bid to build a better Institute of Architects. I would like to say a big thank you to the past presidents I've served under, had the privilege of serving under. First, Architect Richard Nidade, who is now the board chair of the ARC. Architect Kofi Owusu, who took over Architect Nidade, and the current president, Architect SM Kwoti, for your faith in council to deliver on your visions. Secondly, I would like to say a big thank you to the administrator and staff of the GIA who have worked efficiently and tirelessly to ensure that we have a better institute. I think that it is evident to all of us the level and the efficacy with which information comes out to us and how we respond to issues. And I must say that I have no part to play in that. That is purely on the necks of Nancy and her team at the Institute. So please, another round of applause for them. For an individual to serve and be successful in this position, you need very strong support. And I'm talking still within the fraternity. My partners and staff at Mobius Architecture, the firm that I co-founded and also stand as managing partner. To my partner, Architect Kwabena Yakun, who is not here, to Architect Paris Hayford, Architect Michael Ashite Ashiboy, Architect Christodia Blagoji, and all the trainee architects and support staff at Mobius, I am eternally grateful for your support during the period. I will continue to work as a member of this venerable institute to make her great and strong. I thank you all for your attention. Thank you. Right, so that having been presented, we would have quickly delved into the session with the Treasury Secretary. She's coming from very far. Her partner is laughing because says she lives in a village or whatever. But nonetheless, that's just for jokes. She'll be here at least either in this session or in the next session to deliver her report, and we can ask questions. But may I, first of all, before I quickly delve into a Q&A session by the membership, having listened to the report, may I quickly inform that voting has commenced, I believe, and please, you are all encouraged to continue voting. Voting will close, I think, Mr. What time does it close? At 2 o'clock. So we are at almost 11. We have 3 hours to make our ballot. And I think once it's done, we'll then be able to declare the results in a timely fashion. So voting has commenced as of this time, or much earlier, 10 o'clock. but we ask that you continue to participate. Now, that said, let me quickly have a round of advertisements as you prepare yourselves with your questions to the report that has come, and then we would be able to go for our first break. I think we're making good time so far so that we can move on into the second. So just a round of adverts, and then we will come back with your questions for the work that has been done in the past year. Thank you.
If people from Messia, Minister Kamamo, so anyone Yakra, Fantasy Nana pay. The Kaka see Uncle DBS. And also the banner show off as a phone. DBS for credit material for Faber Friend.
Color Link Plus.
A day is you are double for the DBS for the boy. Na DBS in Sano. Yanko DBS for the DBS for one chance in Bia. The ball dance and maybe na mepe.
Boga, no crack. Color Link Plus. A material beer. DBS Akofe Free Europe Abba. Yet the ball dance wa. Enfedi GDA wo munti. Amount 20 years warranty.
20 years warranty.
20 years warranty.
Look, me down about any one you. Company be best boss no. Apa. Afedi.
Na sa Color Link Plus material we say so. E was self-cleansing properties bia. Insure ta na ahokoro ne ho. Awo dem so a, wo dem na you.
Say DBS forward. Sa di pa say dia me. Munko to me down so. Adi pa di oba won ka mprenu an carry.
Right, thank you very much. We continue the session and with just one little amendment before we ask the Q&A. My boss, the president of the institute, has requested to make an address to you before we have those discussions. So may I, and with a round of applause, may we welcome the president of the institute.
Thank you very much, Honorary Secretary. Good morning, council members, fellows of the Institute who are online, my most respected constituents or members of the GIA. Today I have the pleasure of having 3 of my EF mates in the house. I'm especially happy about it. They hardly ever attend meetings. They said they are coming to give me last day support. So I'm happy to see you. Please, let's put our hands together for them. I've officially been slated to speak at tomorrow's dinner, where I'll give my address as outgoing president. But this morning, I just wanted to say a few things. First of all, I would say that I'm happy to see all of you here today. As I asked yesterday, I'd like to know how many we have online as we speak currently. So please, if you can check that and then let me know. How many? 75. Okay. Let's put our hands together for our members online. I would like to just address a few things. Basically, that when I took over office, as the Honorary Treasurer mentioned, I was particularly worried that it was a time where we thought that there are too many comments that it seemed as if the public was not aware of who the architect is and what we do. And we thought that given that the products of our works define our towns, our villages, our cities, it is most unfortunate for people to wonder who are architects. And sometimes people would describe us as contractors or even as engineers. So I thought that it was necessary that we embarked on this visibility conversation. I recall as well that in my inauguration speech, I spoke and I gave a certain narrative about a story that was very founded on hierarchy and the issue of passing on the baton. I particularly made reference to Lord Tennessee's much celebrated lines about the old order changeth and it yields place to the new. Yesterday, I found it profound when the presentations as well had to do with baton changing. We have run 2 years amid COVID challenges. It's been very challenging, but we've come to this point, and today or tomorrow we'll be handing over to a new team. Let me pay respect as our treasurer, as our registrar joins us. Yeah, please, you have to sit in front. Nobody can be sitting ahead of you, so please sit in front. Dr. Yaboche also happens to be one of my year mates, and then our ARC registrar. I'd like to speak on a few things. First of all, I'd like to say that as you're here today, which I'm most happy to see you here, as we go into the Q&A session, we are at a time where our institute needs a lot of ideas. We need a lot of ideas. In fact, before I came into office, I was on as a council member, and it was one of these councils that I greatly admired, Architect Hayford's council. It had such strong, I think, GIA, the kind of representation I saw on that council. I said, well, this is the council that is going to take us to the next level. It had people like Architect AC, who today is standing for vice president. It had Fifi on it. It had architect who is vice president on it. It had Eya Boche on that council. I mean, this, you can actually understand what I'm talking about, Foster today is the president-in-waiting. Eyaboche is the registrar for ARC. Fifi today hopefully will be honorary secretary. AC will be coming on as vice. These were the people on the council. Sad to say that a lot of their energies was unfortunately had to be directed towards the whole battle about the registrar, should we replace the registrar? And then came on Architect Dade's council, which I was council member. Again, such energetic members, and for the first year and a half, so much of the energies was all directed, legal tussles and all of that. So hardly much time was spent on issues that would positively benefit us as an institute. I urge us as we go into the Q&A that it's a time which we cannot let this opportunity pass by. In the last year and 2 years, actually, we've never met in physical to have discussions like this. Let's be constructive. Let's come up with things that is going to positively help this institute forward. We need it. We need it. We are at a time where we've been discussing GRA new regulations. In fact, it's not new regulations, it's been existing, but it's now being implemented very strongly. When the honorary treasurer comes to give her, you would hear that our dues, which has been the mainstay of our financial well-being, has been halved. Many of our members are struggling to make payment, partly economic issues, partly the challenges about getting their tax issues in order to be able to have their registration. What are we going to do? What can we do about it? There are these things we have to talk about. This council, and again, I was happy yesterday when I heard a question put to the great architect Ivan Samfum about what would he have done if he was to be a president today, and he said he would have dwelt a lot more on CPDs. It gives me great pleasure to announce that this council has had an unprecedented number of CPDs, 45 in all. In a period where we were talking about COVID restrictions, 45 CPDs in all, covering such wide areas of our profession, insurance issue, practice issue, all kinds of issues we've had discussions on. And we believe that the next council is going to continue in the same vein. Yes, we've had our challenges to do with the building, but as outgoing president, I particularly worry and I bemoan our zeal or lack of zeal for the institute. It's the most worrying thing for me. We are a body of over 1,000 members, and we shouldn't even be choosing this place for our AGM. But this is where we are now. I urge you this afternoon or this morning to vote. For those who are hearing my voice, please vote. For those who are here, please vote. I urge us, if you can, send a message to your ear mates, to your friends, that by this afternoon, more people can join us. Listen, the reason why we struggled with sponsorship, and people have asked questions like, why is the dinner so expensive? We don't have enough money to subsidize the dinner because we don't get enough sponsorship. An institution like Architects Institute, money is in the construction industry. People should be excited and wanting to sponsor our activities. But many of them are aware that they would only meet 30 people or 40 people when they come to sponsor. Can you imagine if suppliers think that at AGM they will meet 400 architects? We would have to be turning away sponsors. People will be wanting to come and just be the ones to be the key sponsor, the platinum sponsor, all the likes. We need numbers. We need numbers, physical numbers as well. It's a joy to know that 75 people are online, but we need more of you to come physically so that we can show the world. I mean, and today, after this function, etc., many of you, in the name of visibility, post pictures at the AGM today, at the AGM on your social pages. Let people know about AGM. We need to make a little bit of noise. It's the way to attract a lot more attention. It's a way to make, when we make statements to government, to the public, they'll take it more importantly. So I believe proper handing over notes I will discuss, and my proper speech will be tomorrow. But for now, I welcome constructive criticisms, yes, and especially suggestions about how we can make this a better association for all of us. Thank you. I wish us all a beautiful deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And on that note, I think we would now spend the better half of the next 45 minutes slated on questions from our members. It's been a year of work. There's been a lot of deliberation. Again, just before I delve into it, I am informed. Yesterday there was a discussion about the past, present, and the future. And the president of the Architectural Students Association of Central University is here with us. Madam, may you... A round of applause. She represents that constituency, which is the one that we look forward to. So that said, please, the mic will go around. If anybody has questions, both online and here present, please, you can write your questions. We'll be given those comments. If you can write it on the platform or you can write it on the Zoom, I'll be informed. I think, Fifi, you'll be assisting me in that area if there are any questions that come online, and then also helping with the mic. So please, the floor is open. Members speak all year round on our platforms. I'm very excited about the energy. Not excited about maybe how it's delivered sometimes. But this is that opportunity for us to address our issues. So first person, Peter Amenyo Achu. And Sana, if we can take these questions down as we will respond to them. Yeah. Thank you, Peter. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so thank you very much. I would like to ask the President, our senior boss, SM Kote, concerning how we can galvanize people in participating in GIA programs. Can we look at representations from our year groups? Because our year groups are very, platforms are very vibrant platforms where we communicate to each other. So if we have maybe representations from our year groups at council, I think communications will go far when it comes to information dissemination and then also galvanizing our own in participating in GIA council meetings and then programs. So I'm just thinking if that can be looked at. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Actor Tachu. Mr. President.
Architect Peter, I think that's a very laudable suggestion. It came up some last 2 years or something, but unfortunately we haven't followed up on it. So I believe that it's something that council will take it very seriously. Representation on council by the reps, though, that will be a little too much. But I think we take the cue that in trying to organize functions, we'll be using the year reps to be the ones to assist in mobilizing the people, but not necessarily that you can imagine, let's say, 20 years or 30 years of year groups. If we have to have them all on council, that would be extreme. But would use these people to be the source to get people actively involved. It's a very good suggestion. Thank you very much.
Just adding to that, like you said, it was discussed a few years ago, 2 years ago, and as social secretary, I did set up a representatives group where almost all the year groups is represented. Of course, as to its functions and what it's doing now, going forward, I think the incoming social secretary can galvanize it. So we do have that, just for information.
Just before the next question, car number, is it JN? JN 256118. Please, you are blocking somebody outside. If you could go outside and remove the car from there. Car number JN 256118. And if at this point you don't know your car number, you could still go out and check. Yes, please, the next question.
Okay, I'm Stephen Into. My question is to the President and the Electoral Commission. So I would like to know if all members have been given the opportunity to vote. There's a follow-up question, so if it's answered, then I can follow up. If all members have been given the opportunity to vote.
I believe that there's a criteria about all members in good standing.
That's fine. Yes, if all members in good standing are probationers voting, probationers in good standing, I mean probationers who have paid to be probationers, are they voting?
Please, Mr. Electoral Commissioner, shaking your head won't answer it. The people are watching. Should answer, yes or no?
Yes, no.
Probationers are not voting.
Probationers are not architects.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So if probationers are not voting, the GIA Constitution actually spells out which members should vote. It says all, except those who haven't paid their subscription or those in breach of misconduct. Now, you may say that, okay, probationers are not architects, but it's section 403 gives classifications of members. Probationers are classified as members. And so if it says all members, probationers are members, and they ought to be given the opportunity to vote.
I think that actually being on council, one of the things that in the last 5 years I found very interesting, and I like, you said your name is Stephen, right? Yeah. I welcome all of these kind of things. Actually, one of the days, I remember that I was having a conversation with Honorary Secretary, and he had done some research on our Constitution and was reading some things to me, and I said, how come all these years we had never read these things? I think it's very revealing what you just shared, and it's something that the Electoral Commissioner should take note of. Kindly be aware of this thing, though, that there are a lot of things that me or council members we probably do not also fully know. And as these kind of questions and suggestions comes up, we all look at it and then we say, okay, let's do that. I mean, for example, something as simple as when we had the registrar, former registrar in place. Many of us had not questioned that did the membership nominate her, that it's a process that ought to be done because it's spelled out that members will nominate and that nomination will now be advised or to presidency, and presidency will now appoint such a person. Before people brought out these things and we all started to read. So, I mean, very revealing what you just said. I think it's food for thought for council and then for Electoral Commissioner to process and then see what can be done. I don't know whether, as at now, though, it is not too late to implement that. But if they go through it and the interpretation is as you've done, then it means that subsequently we need to look at that. It means that we've been disenfranchising certain members. But you see, this is where I want to say something here. There will come this kind of understanding, this kind of revelation. Please, what I take exception to is that often it is viewed as if it is a deliberate position. Sometimes it is actually lack of knowledge of what should have been. So it's good that you have read, you have referenced, and I think that personally, I tend to, I mean, my personal position, not to say that's council's position or the electoral, I tend to read, understanding, and align with your interpretation. I'm saying that if it hasn't been so this year, or it wasn't so last year, it is not because everybody was aware of that interpretation, but chose to overlook it. We need to understand that some of these things, when it comes up, it is knowledge for all of us to take a decision on and be a better association. Stephen, you understand what I'm saying? So very good. I immediately understand, and I think that I lean with your interpretation. Let council and then Electoral Commissioner look at it, and possibly next year, if the interpretation is same, we'll have a better or more encompassing voting session. Thank you very much.
Right. Those comments, I think Electoral Commission, you have no comments. Okay, good. So next question, please.
Okay, good morning. My name is Charles Ebisa Kumsin. Since we are talking about membership, the Secretary's report was silent. I didn't hear it, but it was silent on the number, our membership strength. And I'm saying that just because we are talking about our laws, because you see, when we shout about laws, statutory laws, we as architects, our institute, we have our own constitution, our own bylaws, as President just said. So I want to know, what is the membership strength of the institute, if we have it?
We definitely have it. I can get it for you in minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to proceed, SM mentioned that we have about 1,000. Now, to form a quorum, we need a third of the membership. How does it align with what we are doing now? Just for clarity.
If I may respond, Mr. President, we have not had a quorum in the last 10 years. We have, as an institute, not had a quorum in the last 10 years. What makes a quorum? A quorum is made up of each of those members of the institute being here present for the meeting. And so if they are not here present, either online or physically, are we to say then that we will not have a meeting? I doubt it. But that's the answer. You're absolutely
right. So let's look at 16.4. It says a third of the total membership of the institute at a general meeting shall form the quorum. I'm just bringing it up because some of these can bring legal issues, especially if somebody is peeved that a decision has been taken when the quorum was not properly set up. So that's why I'm just raising it. My question actually has got to do with Architecture House.
No, before you go on, I think it's a good point you've raised, but I would like to ask you as well, so what do you suggest? Because the Honorary Secretary said a very profound thing, that I was thinking that, let's say, if there's a constitutional review, we should look at making that statement there as, say, a quorum
100 members.
Of the members in good standing.
No, I think it should just be members, because you see, if you even go that way,
Charles,
the members in good standing may not even
Charles,
attend.
the leaning, because what Honorary Secretary said, which is a fact which we all have to recognize, is that we have not had 300 and something membership at any sitting. So should that quorum be revised to read, let's say, 100, or to read, let's say, 10% and things like that? So what I'm trying to urge us is that clearly you are more, you are very inclined in, let's say, the constitution and legal issues. I want that as you raise the issue, that you also prefer a solution to it, that it is incomplete that you raise the issue which has opened a hole, but you don't prefer a solution.
Okay.
So please, as you go on with the points,
Sure.
I would want, because you are really more red on it, so you've brought a gaping hole.
You see,
there is
okay.
this issue. What should we do?
My proposal, and that is subject to the House agreeing
Right.
later on when we decide to amend.
Right.
You see, when you have an association like this,
Right.
over 1,000 members,
Yeah.
trust me, it is never going to be possible, or it's going to be difficult to have a third that states in our law.
Right.
We have minutes. You know, people who attend over the years. You just, best of all, is to use a fixed number. So let's say 100 people form a quorum to do business.
So that should be the suggestion.
Yes, because the more numbers we have,
I think that's fine.
the quorum
No,
increases.
that's fine. I just want that question, we conclude it by preferring a solution. So that's fantastic.
Thank you very
Go
much,
on to
Charles.
your
Please
next.
just hold on. I see the hands. Please hold on. You still talk. I see the hands of Architect Tony Asari and for Sosakuna. I don't know if you wanted to comment. This is a very important point.
Yes, no, it's not even about what Charles is saying.
Okay, then can we
let me just quickly, it's just a manner of the way the questions are going, where it almost becomes like a banter, the follow-up questions and all that. If we do not structure the way we present our questions, it's going to be a marketplace. So, Honorary Secretary, please, let's gather the questions properly. We ask one question, we demand an answer, we get comments, and then we can move on. If we go on like this.
Duly noted. I
Yes,
think
thank you.
that's still the process. He's still in question asking. First, do you still want to comment? Thank you very much. Please, Charles, continue.
On the architecture house, I remember I sent a mail to council which was responded to. What is actually accounting for the delay? Because you mentioned it's steadily progressing, but Mr. Richardson, you bear with me that for some time there was virtually no activity on site. Because I used to visit the institute severally. There was no activity. Is it financial? What is actually the problem with the project? Because trust me, it is not progressing steadily, as you reported.
Wow. Okay, please go ahead.
Right, Charles. I want to say I wish that maybe Nancy would not want to be put on the spot, but I think that two things that have contributed to the slow. One is actually that many of us are not committed to the project. I mean, there have been times when we have taken young members here to be, say, project architect on the project. We've been willing as council to give them allowance. Sometimes 3 weeks. They are just waiting for this architect to come and okay something on site. It would not happen. And in a discussion, I believe that maybe this afternoon, Nancy may mention that there's this call to volunteerism, which we hear that other institutes in other countries have really used successfully. It's called volunteerism, that people come on with no remuneration expected. We've had the good honorary secretary himself, his office, and he's assigned a young architect to say, oh, you come and then do this works for us. Sometimes 2 weeks, we are waiting instructions. The architect is busy. He's unable to be there. Honestly, it's been very frustrating and demoralizing for me as president. I mean, it's poor interest in anything connecting to GIA. It's not just on Architecture House. There have been some situations where we've tried to form committees to do things that would have benefited institutes. People would clearly ask you, how much are you paying us for sitting on this committee? And when we've said that there's no remuneration, we've had no action, no support. So that is one. The second one is that, unfortunately, I held this concept that as architects, we ought to be able to have this building done with as little of our money as possible, that we should be able to leverage on industry friends to assist us. So before I even took over, I used to suggest to the previous council president that let's get contractors to help to do this construction. I remember that I spoke to Top Engineering. They initially said yes, they were going to do the builder's work for us. They looked at it, they said it's too small. Enego Project promised that they were going to assist us. And all of these things, sometimes what happens is that you send them drawing 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You're waiting to just hear from them. Eventually, Enego Project said they will send us blocks and some things. They had initially said they would do it for us. So eventually, we went through some form of tender to choose this builder. We talked to, let's say, BAPA Electricals so that they could give us electrical materials. Now, they needed to do an electrical drawing 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, because we don't want to pay for these services. We think that if we can get these people. So, honestly, in trying to get free services or very subsidized things done for us, it has cost us a lot of delays. The person doing the windows for us, for example, we got the person to almost half his bill. Then, oh, next week will come. Next week they are not there. And somehow we are unable to really shout because they are doing it for you for half the price. So, Charles, I would say that for me, these two factors have been, like, for example, the QS who is working on the project for us, he was a professional colleague of the former president, so he got him to say, oh, do some QS work for us. When the contractor needs to be paid, we want to wait for evaluation to come from the QS before we can pay. The contractor goes to the QS. It's such a small work for him. He doesn't really give it the kind of urgency it demands. So sometimes 3 weeks. And I refuse to make payment when I haven't gotten that valuation. And the contractor too feels that if you haven't paid me, why do I come and do this work? So the work itself, quantum of work, I think that is almost tripled from what originally it was. Then support from our own members, and I mean, I'm just being courteous not to mention names, but has been very, very poor. Many times, I mean, I've had meetings with Nancy, and Nancy has said, look, the problem we have on this project is just an architect who is in charge to give the instructions. We have talked to young people here. They will come today, 2 weeks, then they're absent on the site. And the contractor sometimes just needs some small clarification, and this hasn't happened. Then also because we have used a lot of negotiations and half payments and things like that, so we are unable to push them as it ought to be. So this, I would honestly say that these have been the reasons why it's been much longer than it should be. Yeah.
Mr. President, if I may, I think the question, the only reason why I speak is because it was also addressed to me. If you look at the report of last year, and in this year's report, particularly, that was the only one that I showed pictures. It was very necessary. If you look at the report of last year, where the building was and where it is now, I said we have progressed steadily. Chose my words. That is exactly because of what the President has said. We are people who committed to give us products, particularly. The glass, for example, which came from your discussions, it will be good also to publish how much these people, we even paid some of these people for some of these jobs. It's virtually gratis. Now, being that it is gratis, the glass guy, for example, and I'm just leveling with you because there's nothing to hide in this institute, and there's nothing to gain as in money or anything else. We contacted him and told him from the President's standpoint that we wanted to ensure that the building was at a certain state where even initially we will add its opening to this AGM, so members will actually go and see what is happening there. That contractor, I'm just using it as an example, that contractor promised us, kept promising us, you will keep making the calls. What are you going to do? Are you going to go and beat him? Are you going to take the money back? Long and short, I was at home on Saturday, which when, interestingly, he gave a call. And very happy that he's put in the frames and promised that on Monday, this past Monday, the glass will be in. And I can assure you from those pictures, you see that he's now installing the glass. So ceilings are in, we have commitment. The ceiling people are waiting for the glass to be done so they progress. The ACs are in. In your last picture, there were no ACs. The electricals are done. The tiling is done. The bathroom is done. So when I say we are progressing steadily, trust me, Charles, I, as secretary, would have loved that before I left at the time when we came, because we started this renovation on that day, it would be my joy to see it done, and I impressed on Mr. President that let's open it before we leave. But he said to me, where are we going? We are part of the institute. We could open sometime later this year. So just be assured, we have been working within our means, left to us alone. And also let me say, something that we don't say and may not be necessary. I can tell you, we don't publish it. Council members have contributed at least 100 and something thousand cedis of their own personal money to the institution. This is stuff we don't tell anybody. It is assumed that we're just sitting there and faffing away, but we don't. We put our own money into the institute, but nobody talks about it because really nobody cares. But sometimes it's important to know what we are doing. So I urge the new council, and Foster is fairly square to get it done. It is our interest that the building is finished, and you love the institute as much as we do, and we believe that we'll get there. Thank you very much.
I don't want to be like we are overflogging this, but let me say that we need all of you. Honestly, it's demoralizing. It is demoralizing. We particularly wanted to hold this event on, let's say, the lawns there. So we tried to find quotations for the lawns. We had, and I mean, if she's hearing me, I'm not being attacking her or anything, but we had an architect who gave us a price. We couldn't meet it. The amount was just too high for us. So one day, administrator said, there's a gentleman who comes to tidy the lawns for us every now and then. Let's buy the grass so that the person can do or something. So we talked to this person. We decided to buy black soil. One day, I went to my usual rounds. I went there. The whole place is kind of undulating like a golf turf. I said, stop the guy immediately. So now, you know what I had to do? I had to call the architect who had given us a quotation, which we had thought is too high, so we didn't go with. I begged her. I said, can you please look at this thing again? So she gave us another quotation. It is still too high for us.
Can't afford.
But it's, to be honest, it is her business, okay? And what can I do? We can't force her to say, because you're an architect, do this or do that. But constantly I'm asking, does any of you have contractor friends that you could bring them on board? Because this is what has been done. Architect Anekwa knows a supplier whom she's done business with, and she thinks that she's helped such a person. So she says, this person can give us this. So suddenly we have tiles given to us for literally free. Architect Augustus has worked with somebody who's done windows and things that the person comes on, gives us windows for half. Tony is done roofing with somebody, so Domod gives us roofing materials. First of all, he said the first portion will be halved. Then this one, the truss, I think the trusses also was halved. Then we have to pay now fully for the covering. I speak to Flexi Space on air conditioning. Then they come and fix the entire place air conditioning for us for literally for free. Electricals, you speak to this person, they come and fix. So please, we need all of you. It's the way, if we have to pay for all of this, listen, even if we are paying 10,000 cedis, your dues is 500 cedis a person, okay? So 10,000 cedis means 20 people's dues for the year going. So we need all of you to help us to push this forward. Financially, there is, and then also we need more volunteering. People who will be willing to come and assist things for things to, it's not such a big building. We've struggled too much to complete it. Thank you.
Just a quick suggestion. In the spirit of volunteerism, having demonstrated such keen interest in the architecture house completion, I would ask that Architect Charles volunteers himself to support the Institute to complete the architecture house. Thank you so much, Architect Charles.
Please, Charles, are you done with your questions? Or there will be more later?
Still on this, yes, something.
So, still on it?
Yes.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, thank you. Fortunately, we have a colleague architect here who is the MD of AESL. In fact, he's promised that whatever is left with the architecture house, he's going to assist to get it done free of charge. Supervision. Oh, I thought that I didn't want for you to do it. He says supervision, you get the contractors. We've not benefited from you, so, okay. Yeah.
Is it the materials or supervision?
Supervision. Anyway, on that note, at the mention of AESL, let me congratulate them for officially congratulate them for winning the Apiate competition. But I will also encourage them to work on their supervision, because the word out there is that they don't go to site. So please, thank you.
Right.
Thank you very much. I think we should give a round of applause to the current council for the work done so far. And listening to my president, he calls me the chief of staff. It's very pathetic. Look, having to go through all this pain just to create a hut for the practice as architects. I mean, sitting here listening to this is very pathetic. I think yesterday's lecture by senior architect Cecil, he concluded by setting some example I think we can learn from. I think the pressure we are having, not having young architects who will be willing to offer themselves to supervise the house that house the builder or the chief architect's place, then there is a big problem. It's our problem, and I believe we can take one or two clues from the delivery yesterday. The delivery yesterday concluded by stating that we need to recognize architects, we need to recognize ourselves. And I believe strongly when that institution is set up, that architects are recognized in the social media, in the country, all over. I believe strongly everybody will be willing to join that arc so that we can make a difference. I think we can learn that from. That's my suggestion. We should recognize ourselves and give ourselves that time to appreciate the work and contribution to the nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Freeman. Aja will speak, but let me just say this. I mean, and this is to those on the online and then all of us here. I recognize as an institution that not everybody can serve in council positions and all of those things. That is very understandable. There's so many roles that we can play. I must say that I find it very revealing, the comments from Stephen, for example. I would be happy if we have more members who would also read and alert us on this. Let's do this, let's do that. You don't necessarily have to be on council, okay? So I love that attitude rather than, really, I'm worried by the silent majority. I'm very worried about the silent majority. There are too many of them amongst our ranks. So we'll be happy to have more new faces coming on council, true. But even if you don't think that you can serve on council and you can be a little vocal and help us in that direction. Like I said, the day that I read the document concerning how a registrar must, I said, how have I been on council previously and been part of GIA for so long and never read some of these things? So many of us haven't read things, we don't get involved. Let's get ourselves a little more involved. I'll be very happy to see that that silent majority is going down. We're getting a lot more people interested, volunteering in various ways, not necessarily like as council members, but just get involved. And sometimes even your presence at these meetings, even if you came and did not, some people take encouragement. I was particularly so excited when I saw Senior Victor. I mean, he was my senior in school. I saw him, I was like, wow, I don't think anybody in his year mate is here. Year group is here today. So to find him, he's probably the most senior person here today. It's a joy to see you, Senior Victor. Aja, you can please speak now.
All right, thank you. Next one, yes, Aja.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you very much, Honorary Secretary. Thank you very much, Council. It's really a great privilege to always be here. Mr. President, something is quite worrying, and it just popped up to me. The question that Stephen asked. I think the charge that our fellow architect Evans Amfom said, architect Cecil Abbey talked about yesterday, and the Honorable MP also talked about, I don't think we should gloss over that comment. I think it is like ignorance sometimes could be excused. But for him to have brought it at AGM, to be transmitted online, for others to hear it and be aware, I think we need to take an urgent decision now. It's that urgent. The same way at some point, Honorary Secretary, the term had to be extended a little bit because of this COVID and all these issues, and we had online, these things. I think we had to postpone to online at some point. There was something that happened during the COVID. It was an emergency situation requiring an emergency response. I think my suggestion would be that we suspend voting, give, as members here present, give a short period, maybe 3 months, Let's seek the right legal counsel on this subject, get back, and vote. It's that serious, because as I said, some of these things we all read it. It's like, and then I heard the electoral commissioner saying that probationers are not architects, but then our constitution is not saying architects; it's saying members. So are we going to rectify the constitution to make it architects, or we are going to rectify it and say and keep or maintain it as members? So I think there's a quagmire here. And I don't think we should just gloss over it and say that we'll do it next time. And it means that we may have to agree to extend the term of the current council for a few months, suspend voting, and get the right decision. I think this is the right thing to do. Since we are not legal experts here, and a legal question has been raised at the AGM, we should get it. Because it's serious. We have precedents. Like he said, we had a registrar, a situation happened, legal things has gone. I think it went to court, and I'm here. All things are still going on. All because of the same constitution, all because of the same guidelines, the law setting up our. So we are in a process where we are strengthening. So my thing is that we should strengthen it now that we know, than to sweep it under the carpet, vote, and then somebody say, well, the thing came up, and then the whole council is now dissolved at some point because of illegitimacy, in quotes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aja. I think it's like you said, this is your suggestion. I think that, I don't know how long Stephen had known this. And this is, again, one of the things that I urge us to try to do better about. I mean, I will not dare to say that he has known it for long and decided to spring it or bring it out today. But Stephen, I mean, before I go on with my comment, please, I mean, remove this doubt from my mind. How long have you known what you just shared with us? Just how long have you known this? Is this morning's observation?
About a year, not this morning.
Okay, so now this is what...
Because you remember, I don't know if you're active on the Telegram platform. You remember I asked the question requesting committee members from the EC secretary, but I didn't get any response. And
okay, so you've answered my question. Please, okay. Thank you very much. Now, what I want to say is that I think that currently... No, Stephen, you can sit down. Yeah. I think that currently that elections has commenced, that this has been brought forth. And as I said, this in itself is open to interpretation. This was your interpretation of the Constitution, which I mentioned that I lean with that interpretation. But it has to be also verified by Electoral Commission, by council members, extra, for it to be the way that we go with. I think that today's election, having already commenced with the understanding which the Electoral Commissioner shared, should go on. I think that if after today's election is now sat through and we agree with that, subsequent elections, that would be the way. But I urge us as members that if you find things like this, though, which is very profound and helps our collective good, that you bring it out before such moments. It sounds, I mean, and forgive my words, it almost sounds mischievous if this is brought forth whilst the election has actually commenced. So unfortunately, my understanding will be that as we speak currently, we are very thankful that this alertness has been brought, that this will be read through and investigated and the right understanding given. But as we speak currently, that elections has commenced, that in the next few hours it comes to a closure, we should go on with that decision.
Sorry, Stephen had a comment, a response to it. Yes, please, Stephen, go ahead.
Okay, President. Like you said, I disagree with part of your wording that suggests that this sounds mischievous. And the reason is that this morning, when I came in, you can ask Charles. Charles, what did I discuss with you about this? This morning.
Yeah.
But do you give us opportunity to interact with you? Relax. President, when you were speaking, you see, when President, relax. When I have the microphone.
Tony, please. Stephen, finish.
Respectfully, when I have the microphone, you can't interject me.
Please go ahead.
You can't.
Please go ahead. Tony, please. Tony, no. Tony, please.
You've been overruled.
Tony, please. Stephen, please go ahead.
President, like I said, I discussed this with Charles. My point is that I want to put on record that to suggest that it's mischievous, I disagree. That's my point.
Thank you very much, Charles. Tony, please speak, and then
I think I have been saying this on the platform, that we may have all our reasons, our excuses, and all the things we want to do. But for crying out loud, the people who put themselves to serve the institute deserve a bit more respect. And the language that we use must be courteous. And please, let's get used to it. Look, it is a competition of ideas. I agree with what Mr. President is saying. The things come up, we debate it, we resolve it. It comes back to the people, we all assent to it, we move forward. This is not the most important thing. I mean, we have had instances where we didn't even have any nominations for people at all, not even just the president. The year in which I became honorary secretary, there was no nomination for secretary at all. So I think that we need to be able to just manage ourselves. Let's manage our emotions, and then let's be courteous. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. No, it's okay. Foster. No, Foster had to speak before. Yeah. No problem.
Just to clarify a point, we have membership, and the membership is in two categories. We have the corporate members, and then we have the non-corporate members. The non-corporate members includes honorary fellows, students, honorary associates, among others. The corporate members are associates, fellows, and which one? And firms. So, when we talk about business, the actual business is carried on by the corporate members. Let us get that understanding. Thank you. And then I also want to say that we did present, in the honorary secretary's report, I think it will be the second part, review the constitution, which eventually we will submit the final document or draft final document to membership when we start our term, for them to cross all the T's and dot all the I's before we print it. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Foster. And I think, as I chair this meeting at some point, I will take maybe one or two more comments on this issue, and so we can progress. Charles, you have the floor. The mic, please.
So just as a follow-up to what we are discussing, I also found out something, which I did on my way here. We are having a dinner tomorrow, and the agenda, as SM said, was to also hand over to the new executives as well. Now, how does that tie in with our transitional provisions, which states that before the new executives take over, at least there should be 2 joint regular meetings within 2 months and 1 month. Why are we voting for the new executives today and handing over power to them tomorrow, while the Constitution talks about 3 months minimum for us to hand over and have a good transition process? So that's what I want to inquire for, maybe the EC or Council.
Okay, just to quickly answer that so we don't. We have a series of meetings between ourselves and the new council. The only person who can bear me with what it is I'm saying is the incoming president, or the president in waiting. Foster, you are aware, and if I am wrong, please do corroborate, that what we want to do, I think even it's starting next week, you said in 2 months, which we agree. That is what the Constitution says. But because Foster handed me handing over notes, I have handing over notes to hand over to Fifi, hopefully as you get elected, and we hope that we all confirm that. We want to bring you up to speed on everything that has happened. The documentation is ironclad. Every information is there for you to see, but you have the time. In fact, I think Dr. Botre, I was also having that discussion with you and Fifi yesterday about the process we'll be taking to make sure that we are all up to speed and the need for us to be strong about this. So, yes, and rightfully so. In fact, the president, if you know also by the Constitution, as immediate past president, will be participating with the council. So it will last for that period so they can do all their Q&As. However, because we are voting for them today and we'll have a dinner tomorrow, which is only understandable in any group, we thought it wise that that handover will be done, whilst everybody's there, so we don't have to commit another. It's a practice that we have inherited, and I think it is only right that we do that. So please be assured that there is a transition, like every other council has existed. I think basically that's it. If that satisfies it, I don't want to belabor the point. We move on to other issues. Yeah.
The first official joint meeting is scheduled for 8th of June 2022. That's a joint meeting as part of the transition process, the joint meeting between the old council and then the new council is scheduled for 8th of June.
So that's why it happens. I'm sure I've answered your question.
I think that what Charles is talking about, and Charles, you can please reread the clause, just reread that, because what I think that the planners of this AGM were looking at is that at each AGM, once the new members are elected, there's some kind of a ceremony there, which is to say, okay, so now this is the new president, this is the new vice president, this is the new da. And actually there is even the badge that you kind of put on the incoming president, etc. There's that kind of ceremony that is being postponed to tomorrow at the dinner. But effectively, there's a transition process which will be held, as this is being discussed. I know that the administrator, for example, has penned down something she calls an orientation for incoming council members, which she will run them through before actually effectively they start their term. But maybe the way we said it about the handover tomorrow, but can you please read what is exactly the lettering there?
Okay, so this is what is here. A minimum of 2 regular joint meetings of the outgoing and incoming councils. So it is not those who have taken over, those who are going and those who are coming.
Yeah.
Shall be held 2 months and 1 month consecutive before assumption of office.
Yeah.
So this should be done before they assume office.
Right. So that will be done. That does not nullify tomorrow's ceremony in any way, though.
Mr. President, Honorary Secretary, I think the handing over that we are talking about is an administrative handing over. If the Constitution is not clear, in the amendment of the Constitution, we should just make it clear that it's an administrative handing over, where signatories change, where complementary cards change, where offices change, where files are handed over. So if it is not clear, let's make it clear. I think that the House should not be held back based on issues where I consider to be a little semantic. And we need to be careful that we don't get into this situation of instead of looking forward after all the talks that we have heard, the past, the present, and the litigation in the future, we won't take it. I think that let's pick these points. They are very important points. I'm not discounting them. But we will pick the Constitution. We will discuss it. If we do not like the wording, we will change it. The Constitution is for us. And we will not live for the Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tony. I think the issue is cleared. Any more questions? Online questions. Okay, good. Can we get the questions, please, to me? Fifi, take them and read them. And I think... So I think we will continue to vote, Mr. President, as we've spoken. I'm sure members are in agreement. I doubt there's a disagreement from the majority. We will continue to vote. Thank you.
Okay, so for those online, if you'd want to speak, kindly raise your hand to be given the mic.
Are there any typed out questions on the chat? Sometimes they are also... yes, we haven't gotten anybody. Is there somebody online? If not, Tony, please, you have the floor.
Yes, I am, okay, first and foremost, I think it is proper for us to congratulate this council that is exiting. And I would plead that we should get up and applaud them and thank God for the lives of these people. Let's please rise and applaud them. This is very important. Charles, applaud. I want to see you applauding. That. Thank you very much. Please be seated. After the populist action has been done, let me go on to my issue. With the Architecture House, I think it is a blot on us when, if you look at us as architects. And I was really thinking that just the same way as we do our fundraising in our various churches, are we going to discuss how we are going to raise funds to finish it and furnish it and make it a place where we can call our colleague professionals to come and visit us? Can't we discuss that, spend some 5 minutes to discuss whether we should allow people to make contributions or I can't find the English, but the tree, we call it aquabrantor, where we tell everybody that everybody should pay some small money. You know what aquabrantor is? So, Mr. President, can we please spend 5 minutes? Let's discuss how we can raise money to finish Architecture House. I think for me, that is more important to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Mr. President. Way back in 1992, I did my thesis on Architecture House. Then it was designed as a multi-story building. So I sit here this morning and look at what is happening to us. That our house, where we're supposed to run the affairs of the Institute, is struggling not to develop this high-story building as was designed for, but struggling to complete this structure, which I call this a mere size structure. I think we need to look at ways of raising funds. And like Tony said, let's discuss it and see how we can put our resources together to make this possible. This is Architecture House for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Senior, for adding your voice to it. And with that comment, Mr. President, I'm sure you give us your approval that maybe in the next 5 minutes, do a bit of an auction, ask members who are ready to put their money where their mouths are to, support the Architecture House project.
Thank you very much for the suggestions. What I think we would do is that would plan it properly to do a fundraiser. So I think that, properly speaking, in this fundraising, we should have a catalog of how much we need to complete, what work items need to be done, and if we need to do it like a levy, we say maybe all members should pay this, all firms should pay this, so we'll do it properly. I think it's a good suggestion. So we would go about it. We will not be spontaneous and say that right now with 50 people here, let's do a fundraising. So I think we take it as a good suggestion. So we'll do a fundraiser among members, but we'll organize it properly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. That is why you are president, and your wisdom is always cherished. Dear members, any more questions? And please, this session is critical. I, in the past, have been privy to comments about how we are not transparent in our approach, or we do not give people the chance to speak. I believe in democracy. I practice it at serious levels, both in my office, my private life, and at council. So please, we've waited a year. There are things bothering people, issues you've seen. this is your opportunity. We gave 45 minutes, we've hit the hour. We're actually supposed to be on break by now so we can have something to eat. Please, I'd like to strongly say that Stephen and Charles, who are very strong on the platform and here also very strong, I'm very happy that they're here. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Stephen and Charles for their continued criticism of council. You have no idea how it spurs us on our work. And I love the questions that are coming. I think that let us continue in that spirit. Please, dear members, any more questions? Because we waited a whole year and there are still issues. I am right that the two individuals still have questions.
Stephen and Charles, wait, if there's anybody else.
Nobody will ask. Oh, senior, please, the mic.
Yeah, coming back to the issue of the zeal of members for GIA issues, I think it goes back to what you hinted upon about government, inducting one or two people without recourse to GIA. And this issue didn't start yesterday. It's been happening for years.
Yes, yeah.
And I thank you that you guys have taken a step to dialogue with government to see the way forward. Because if government continues to sidestep the GIA and to bypass GIA in giving out projects and contracts, we would find out that the zeal, actually, this is why there is no zeal. Because people realize it, people have seen it, that really, what is GIA going to do? I just have to go to Castle. All I need to do is just to go to Castle. I don't need GIA. So you started a good work, and I hope the incoming executives will take it up from there.
Thank you very much, Senior. Your comments do not need any additions. Mr. President, you want
to? I need to just say this. Jeffrey, thanks for the comment. It's not just about architecture, but many other aspects of our country. People, can I please, let's welcome past president and fellow of the Institute, Architect Soa. We are still happy to have you here. We are still happy to have you. He's been here for all the first 2 days, and not just this year, each year, his presence. We really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Jeffrey, to your issue, we would continue to take these issues on. I know that incoming president has this kind of issues at his heart. I know council will continue to fight this. We won't get the full results overnight. It will take some time. But we take it that, like, sometimes this fight is just not about council alone, but beyond council. The Gong Gong Bita has often written out things that the public has picked on. 2-3 years ago, architect Sam wrote something very strongly, and it became a national conversation. So we urge all of you, beyond council, sometimes some of these issues, also be vocal. It gets into the, what happened, for example, is that, with all respect, I mean, I believe that you all share my position. We all are great admirers of Sir David, for example, and he's a member of this institute. Now, if we take him on, and as president or council, we speak against something's going on, sometimes it sounds like you're talking against your member. And honestly, in various forums, we've had people almost thinking that there is envy, but we are absolutely admirers of his great feats and love what he's doing internationally. We decry the processes that certain businesses have come to his doorstep. And these things we continue, but we have to be careful how we say it, that it's said clearly that it is the process about the business and how it's, that it could have also been something that many more could have benefited from it, or even if he eventually turned out to be the winner, that the competition itself helps members become better. So we continue to forge this agenda, but sometimes our arsenals are so weak. For example, when Honorary Secretary said, we wrote this letter to various organizations or firms holding themselves out as architectural firms on this turf without the due process registration. So you've written to them, signed, honorary secretary, and given them 1 month. If they haven't responded, what does the honorary secretary do? Registrar, we're happy that you are in position because for understanding, these things are at your doorstep. You are the enforcer. In fact, at the last council AGM, the board chair promised us that there's going to be an action. We demand it immediately that you who have that tool, you come out publicly to stop these kind of practices. And you are willing to engage with government and things on some of these procurement processes and things that speak strongly against it. We've been silent for too long. So unfortunately, when few council members and people speak, they begin to be tagged as if they are envious, or is it for personal reasons? So Jeffrey, we will continue this on, but it's not just for GIA Council alone. All of you individuals, you have a right to write, you have a right to decry it on your social pages, etc. It will gain more. Architect Sam just wrote a simple letter, and you can imagine it generated a whole national discourse. I had friends from outside the country talking about it, etc. You can do it as well. Okay, thank you. Past President and fellow. Charles, you come, but you are speaking like 20 times.
Yeah.
Right?
President and council members, fellow architects, please forgive me for coming so late. Due to some circumstances beyond my control, I couldn't make it. But coming in, I heard the last speaker before you talking about people, let's say, wondering what GIA can do for them or does for them and whatever. But I think, thinking about that, it is also important for us to think, what can we also do for GIA? And indeed, what are we doing to strengthen GIA? Yesterday, we were talking about strong institution or institute. So what can we also do to make GIA strong? I've at that point where you are standing, I've stood there before, and I know how lonely it can be to be standing there and have, out of how many members do we have now? Yes. So let's look at ourselves here now. What percentage of us are here? This is what makes the council nervous, thinking of taking the AGM to Kumasi, elsewhere, wherever, like the engineers and the lawyers have been doing. So let's also vow to ourselves that we are going to do something to get a strong institute. Because once we get a strong institute, we will also be strong. This is just a point. I don't know, I came late, so I don't know why you talk about this already.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. Charles, please, the floor. Joe, I'll come to you. Your hand. Charles was up before you.
Okay, so big thanks to you, your council. I'm sure you are living, but you are not living forever.
Absolutely.
My question is, the dinner is tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
I think it's quite expensive. What are we doing about it? Because Nanekia nominated me for a position. If she can buy me a ticket and get one for Stephen, that would be better. But please, I think 1,000 Ghana cedis is quite on the high side. I don't know what the social secretary and the incoming has to say on it, but let's please do something about it before the day ends. That's my proposal or my suggestion to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Charles. Just a quick one on that. Mr. President, you will want to speak, but we to make this dinner happen, we seek funding from our sponsors. I must say that our sponsors are very special to us, especially those who are even sponsoring this year's AGM. I'll give you an example, and one that he wouldn't want me to say. But your title sponsor, when things got really hard, doing the numbers together, because everybody's talking about the impacts of COVID and what have you. If you've looked, even clients are not releasing money the way they ought to. It is a reality, and we all manage these things. But with a 1 week call in less than 2 days, our title sponsor paid up 50,000 cedis. I think he deserves a round of applause. Our title sponsor gave 50,000 cedis, which people will not do. So even looking at that and what we have to do here, rent a place, and all those budgets are there. When you go to, Marriott, which is where we've selected, we don't want to sit under trees for dinner. It's a nice and romantic idea, but we thought we should go to a nice place. The engineers, who are our colleagues, are also doing a dinner. And we were informed by those numbers and the numbers that we worked on. The engineers are paying 1,200 cedis for this year's dinner at Labadi Beach, Charles. And we employ the engineers. If I look at the structure, we employ them. For us to say we don't have money, in fact, in my opinion, it may sound callous and all, but in my opinion, if you're an architect and your annual dinner is 1,000 cedis, you should be requesting some more. This is on a personal note, Mr. President. But that said, Charles, please bear with us. You're a man of your stature, and Stephen, I know very well, doing good business, can pay for this ticket. Thank you, Mr. President.
So this is unfortunately where I've been probably for one of the very few times in our 2 years together, I'll differ from honorary registrar. Secretary. Honestly, I also think that it is high. I had conversations with the planning committee. We are not getting support from our sponsors. They've done what they can do. Hiring a place like this, it's of course so much. Providing lunch, having an online production, and we could have easily been down on online production if we knew that many people would come in fiscal. If our place had been completed, we wouldn't have had to pay for the hall and all of those things. So I would say that maybe if there are special cases, and Charles, as has been said, you will not be considered as one of the special cases. But if there are genuinely special cases of interest and you want some kind of discounts, maybe the planning committee will look at it. We'll have a conversation again with our sponsors. Maybe some level of discount for some people, but please,
Mr. President, just so we're on the same page. Just so we're on the same page. I found my office, about 10 of us will be going for the dinner. The way in which we've done it, and I'm sure when you saw the doubles ticket, if you look at it, there's a singles for 1,000 and a doubles for 1,005. I know, in this dispensation, it gets a little crazy, but the pairs will be coming, man and man, 2 guys. It's just a creative process. We said doubles. So already we've discounted to 750. I think it's the most ingenuitive way. You and Charles will buy a double ticket. And I think that will solve the problem. So, Mr. President, we won't change it. I think that people should pair up. It's a rather smart approach because we can't be reducing it. So we will encourage Stephen and Charles to buy a single ticket, 1,005 only. We'll just reduce it by 250. You can't get better than that. Very ingenuitive. Thank you very much for that, Mr. President. So we'll stay at the price. Thank you. Sorry, Joe. Joe will speak, yes. And then I'll come to Steve.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. I really appreciate what the current executives have done over the years. You've done a very good work, and God bless you for that.
Thank you very much.
Concerning the membership drive, we are all talking about money, and because we know that when we have our numbers, then money will not be a problem for us. So I'm wondering how we can have our numbers in terms of even nationwide, because as of now, we still have only 2 schools of architecture in the country. How are we driving out in terms of going out, even up to the north? Because trust me, we are talking about pharmacists, we are talking about lawyers, we are talking about doctors, but you could see the numbers, okay? Thousands and thousands of numbers. And that is why even if you have just a small percentage attending AGM, you see them in numbers. But if you are to tabulate, you will see that the apathy is still there. It will be 10%. But there's, you have about 1,000 of them attending because there are about 10,000. So how are we driving out in terms of membership? How are we establishing branches. What is our plan or in terms of educational plan or drive towards bringing out some of these things even up to the north? If we can have even one school of architecture for every region, trust me, we may have our numbers. Because for the apathy, it will still be there. We will have our efforts driving out for this, but at the end of the day, we will still have the apathy. So how are we actively engaging such that we can have more schools of architecture, and in that aspect, we are going to have more members. And with that aspect, we are going to have an AGM, which will attract companies to come, advertise, and then we get money. Otherwise, we will still remain these two schools of architecture, and our numbers will be down. With that one, still the companies will not find us attractive in bringing out the numbers or the financial muscle that we are driving at. So we should look at that. Yesterday, I was happy when our Honorable Member of Parliament, Honorable Tete, was talking about endorsement. How are we using that kind of endorsement in order to also drive out for sponsorship and funding in order to fund our programs? I believe we can look at these things and it will also bring out our financial muscle in the industry. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joe, for that suggestion. Mr. President, any comments?
I think we will take note of it. Just be informed, though, that GIA in what it is and ARC as well are very open to new institutions coming up. I mean, I believe there's some proposals and things which has come to desks which are being considered for other schools of architecture. So there isn't any resistance to that. And this is personal, I don't know whether many of us actually think that we need to flood the market with more architects. Already, many of us are thinking that we don't even get enough business given the number that we have. So, and we're not exactly like pharmacists and lawyers. I remember that when we entered KNUST, when my class was a class of, 19 or 20 people in my class, the medical school class was probably about 80 already. So yes, there's always been a lot more doctors being sought for because of the kind of service they provide. And the works that you and I will do, though, is not something which is like a 1 hour, 30-minute service that some of these need to provide. Sometimes your client, one client, you and that client could be together for 6 months to a year. You're still working on that. Most of these other professions that has the numbers, as you mentioned, sometimes they just do a service of 1 hour, 30 minutes, and then they are done. And the engineers have had the privilege of the allied engineering, so they are civil engineers, electrical engineers, mechanical, so it makes their numbers look so great. But as an institute and with the ARC support, we would be very supportive of any initiative to have other schools of architecture as long as the standards are being adhered to. So that would be, but I take it that the main focus of your submission is that we need members. I would say that if we can quench apathy in our ranks and then be able to call on, say, 300 of our members to be present, it would be a great thing to do. Suggestions earlier on came up about the year groups things. Also, before the meeting itself, I was having an informal conversation with some of our members. It was also suggested that some of these AGM meetings, we must see how we partner it with some other social activity that makes it a little more interactive and not so intellectual based. It probably attracts a lot more people because it's kind of fun and as well intellectual. So I believe council will be looking at all of these things. If we can call on the third of our members, it will be a very good thing. So maybe the approach or the solution to getting the numbers may not necessarily be in bringing up new schools of architecture. If there isn't the market demanding more architects, if more architects are decrying that there's no businesses there, probably, then that shouldn't be the way to go. But if we want to just increase our members, maybe we could use these approaches that have been suggested to increase attendance and quench apathy. Thank you very much, though, for speaking out. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Joe. I think Joe wants to respond. Sorry, before I come to you. And Cesar, are you responding on Joe's comment Or a new one. Okay, so we'll come to Stephen before. So, Bajo, please speak before I go to Stephen. Sorry, on the platform, has anybody lifted their hands for questions? Nobody. Okay, right.
Yeah, just adding up to what we're talking about, that maybe we don't need to flood the market with architects. But I also believe that it's also how we view architecture, because architecture is also broad. But over the years, we are practicing it as if it's just architecture. And that's why we still have a School of Architecture, which is a department of architecture. But I believe there are other branches and there are other allied professions which we can bring on board. Okay, why don't we have, for example, Department of Urban Design, Landscape Architecture? These disciplines we can bring on board, and that will come from, I think, the ARC and then the GIA driving towards education. And with this, we can have our numbers broad, just like the engineers have much of these allied professions, just like the doctors have it, just like the lawyers have. This is what we are talking about. Once we diversify, we will not be afraid that people are taking up our jobs, but we will rather be penetrating in other places. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joe, for your comments. Steve, you have the platform. Okay, we'll go to Cecil. And we'll
my question is in two parts. The first one will go to Senior Richardson, because I'm well aware that you are part of the people who sort of designed the new face of the architecture house. Yes. So my question would be that what are some of the design strategies that you sort of considered during the design of the architecture house? Because it's a retrofit, and I know people are murmuring, but there's a reason for the question. The reason is that, you see, now, the reason is that now green, sustainability is topical. We know our climate is getting warmer, and we attribute some of these things to CO2. So I would like to know the sort of considerations we did to reduce the impact of our building, i.e. the carbon footprint of our building. That is one. The next question is more of a constitutional question. So it goes to the president and the incoming president. The president, I think it will be difficult for you to answer because, I mean, we've already gone past it. In the Constitution, the bylaw actually states that we are supposed to have ordinary general meetings quarterly, which obviously we haven't had. So the incoming president, I mean, what will be some of, I know even our AGM is a bit of a struggle. So is it the case that you would encourage us to have it, or do you think we should expunge this from the bylaw? I would want to hear your take on that, the incoming president.
Thank you very much, Steve. So on the question of the design of architecture house, let me just say also historically that a brief and a competition was put out for as a strategy by council. If you read the Constitution, by reposing your faith in council, you give them the right to manage your affairs. And council being very interested in a very democratic approach and very, open and free and fair system, ran a competition which did not meet the expectations that we had put in that document. Indeed, it was meant to be a renovation of some sort of the existing building. What we got in response took us beyond renovation to, people talked about renovation where they draw the existing structure, but then what they brought was almost virtually gutting the existing structure and having to build up 4-story, 5-story, 2-level parking, stuff like that. And obviously, you can see that with our financing at the time, we couldn't have taken on such a campaign to, do that. So again, since council's mandate was still to ensure that we had a good edifice for architecture house, one that's more interactive, pleasant, we took on to get the work done. And of course, leading that design team of myself, Nanekia, on council, we took on to redesign the building. Now, those considerations that came to mind were, number one, the fact that our current exhibition hall was an L-shaped exhibition hall. It was always a problem. The speaker sits in the corner and a group on the right side are looking, group on the left are looking, and you just hear a question posed from one side. So the main aim was there a way in which we could make this auditorium larger, more airy and not claustrophobic. I think the existing building, as we came to meet it, and which was worked on by other seniors of ours, I think historically, we thought that it was necessary that in this new drive of visibility, accessibility, the public seeing what we are doing, it was necessary to demystify this idea of architects being inaccessible. I think this is just a general approach that we've all taken. So, number one, to make that hall a linear hall so that everybody can look at one focal point. And then number two, to raise the height of the roof. Again, remember, we're in the ridge area where, cantilevers of large roofs and pitched roofs. The original roof was pitched. We changed that design, lifted it a little bit up, added windows at the top for stack effect to allow hot air to rise in the building so that it does not rely solely on air conditioning. The glass, the frontage has this 3.4 meter cantilever defying gravity and virtually telling, our community that we are fighting against huge odds, and therefore we'll defy that in whichever manner. The glass also protected by the cantilevers that you see, and you can do a sound study to check. So all of those have been done. The building breathes naturally, and it's really been made very accessible. These are these are the most minimum things to do as a designer. The building is all already well-oriented. There's a lot of talk about green and carbon footprints and so on and so forth, which I am very much in favor of, and our projects are all trying to move there. But I've always said, and I stand at that in my own opinion when it comes to design, that any good designer, if you really learned what they taught you in arc science, is a green designer. Because, our lecturers, I think architect Asante, who I had the pleasure of sitting in his class, maybe one of the most fantastic arc science teachers, really took us through this idea that before one created a building, you had to think about orientation, how the building would breathe. So if you talk about green again, and Akosia is seated here, who is an EDGE certified, I'm sure there are quite a number of them. Yes, Akosia right there, who is looking to run for social secretary. Well, anytime we've done a project with clients and we've tried to bring on an EDGE expert, the clients run away. They run away because of the cost of that process. So already knowing that we don't have too much money, then it will only fall on best principles in design to ensure that we create a building that is really very quiet and will afford the opportunity for flexibility, adaptation, for people to really express themselves in the structure. This is the background to how the building became designed. It's really very simple, large overhangs, open up the building. And I think that when it opens, the public, the building already, in the pictures you saw, begin to invite people to it. The blank wall you see at the back, it's our hope that we can exhibit architects' work so that even in the evening when the lights are on, people can still, see it from the street side. In fact, one of the aims was to even break the front wall and have a metalwork artist, what's her name, Constance Swaneker, to design a gate that can collapse and allow the public to just walk in when they want to without any wall in that place. But you see, the architects are always dreaming about all kinds of things, art, so on and so forth. But we had to minimize it as gravity, as the reality of the budget hit us. So that's the background to it, and I hope maybe that gives you some. Nanika, you're a co-designer, so maybe you have some comments on what it is.
Okay, so just to add to what he has said, and also to give some context to the Architect House situation. First of all, the land we see is maybe 4 times more than what we see when we go there. There's a huge parcel of land behind where, we had some accommodation of some sorts. It's really just rotten away. Now, when we came into council, and of course, I think every architect agrees that our home should represent us somehow. Someone mentioned that he did it for his thesis. My former roommate, Paula, also did that for her thesis. It's an issue that concerns us from day one. When we came in, being a democratic council, we tried to organize a competition that cleaned up what existed. Unfortunately, the competition didn't yield what we could manage. Now, at a council meeting, and if it's on record, I said, people, none of us in our offices will enter an office space see everything hanging the way it is, the way the place is a mess, and operate from there. We are architects. We all know what we do in our offices. So, as council members who have been elected to take the order of or manage the affairs of the institute, we have to clean up our house. And really, that is what we did. We cleaned up the house. The future development is still available. In fact, that's the next phase, which I expect that the next council will take up, because the land is there. If we have to do a tower, which of course is not beyond us, eventually that land is there. But where we operate from now, we needed to clean it up. And I think from what we have been able to do, it fits that perfectly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nanepia. That was the first question. The second question was to Foster on ordinary general meetings quarterly.
Stephen, be assured that we'll have ordinary meetings. Okay, we are not expunging it from. It makes a lot of sense to meet and deliberate on issues, not to leave them and box it into general meeting. So we'll definitely have. Let me assure you that at the beginning of our council, you have a year's program so that you can plan your calendar very well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Foster. You have full assurances. Cecil, and then Tony.
Yeah, good afternoon. I must commend the current executives for their work in the past years, most especially during the pandemic and navigating the whole technology presence thing. I have a little concern, and I think Tony raised it earlier. And what are executives supposed to do? Are they supposed to be present at meetings, on Telegram chats, on WhatsApp forums? Are they supposed to be everywhere? I think I've had one or two discussions with the Honorable Secretary where he wanted to respond to some things or maybe even joke about some things. And I said, you can't do that because of your position. It'll be misconstrued. So I know technology is a wonderful slave, but a very bad master. And I'm wondering what I myself, what is expected of me as a member? Am I supposed to be abreast of everything that I said on Telegram? Some people have raised or tried to ask the president that, you remember I asked this question on Telegram, on WhatsApp. It's a bit. And we know we're architects and we use so much energy dreaming and thinking about, our projects and our clients and strategies. So we can use this technology to build us or dissipate our energies and be distracted. And then I also see that, and this is for many forums that I'm part of, I see that people have two different characters. There's a social character, there's an in-person character, there's a media character, and they keep on changing. So I'm concerned that, yes, we want drive. We want all sorts of people on our forums and membership. I need to know which way to go. What do you want me to do? Am I supposed to be active on Telegram? Does it make up for my in-person meeting or in time to come, my members' meetings? Or, which way are we going? And then, am I expected to see Foster, the coming president, there? Is he supposed to respond? And when he responds, is it law? Is it constitution? Or it's his personal? I'm a bit confused. I'm not that smart to capture all this new technology things. So we need some clarity. I know the mobile phone is something that can cause an Arab rising. People can take a BlackBerry and muster up support and topple governments and cause so much change. We have to use it wisely, and I'd like us to, going forward, to be very clear so that I don't just make a comment and maybe, just maybe at that time, Foster has not seen that comment and he doesn't respond to it, And so immediately the president has not responded, but he responded to Tony's, and he doesn't respect me, and I won't come for meeting, so many things. So if it's been explained in past meetings, I'll be happy if it's made official. Last but not the least, aside from all this, there's a lot of wonderful comments, wonderful submissions, wonderful reports that are put on our forums, the media forums, that sometimes I go back to the people and say, this has to be published. This has to be summarized. Every month, are we saying, Tony, for these things that you said, this is the summary. We now have a what? Tony, what can you call it? Media Gong Gong summary, GIA, something. So I hope you can all pick some ideas of where I'm going with all this, and it'll be good if we have some clarity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cecil. I think it falls directly in my ambit as secretary. The best form of communication, and still is, I remember this was re-emphasized by past President Joseph Hayford. He said, look, yes, you can have text and so on, but in your projects, in your current projects that you run, especially those of the international kind, you can't send text messages for it to be official. It is necessary that you're on a platform, either an on-site IMS or some project management platform where your responses get recorded officially. I do agree that I am very active on my WhatsApp and not Telegram, WhatsApp, but yes, Telegram, because it's getting there, social media. It helps to get information very quickly. But just so we don't, like you said, because of our so-called busy schedules and just, you may be writing a text in the morning in Ghana, but Cecil will be somewhere in Japan and it will be midnight. He won't be reading it. And by the time you come back, 300 and something comments have come and you'll miss it. I think it's for those comments that properly, even though you have registered it, we urge that we write to the office, the various offices, and get a response. And every time, I think unless somebody will say differently, anytime anybody's written to the direct channel, which is the Honorary Secretary's office, there has been a response in one way or the other, either from the Vice President or the President or from the Honorary Secretary or from the Treasurer, depending on where the thing is going to. So I think that it's not something to be too confused about, in my opinion, unless there's another opinion. I think that we should still encourage the proper channels of communication for, officially to be received and stamped so that we can address those issues. Thank you very much, Professor. Those are my comments. Sorry, Aja, is it concerning this or it's another thing? Is it concerning it or another thing? Okay, so then Tony speaks first. I'm sort of picking everybody as the...
Yes, thank you. I think I have a very short suggestion, possibly to the next council. On other occasions, to be able to boost numbers attending AGMs, we have had to write to the various public services, civil servants, to release the members to attend. If they attend, we know that we can get our numbers. The second thing is that on various CPDs, we have discussed issues of placement of public servants, architects who are in the public service and the civil service, and their salary structure and all of those things. So it is important that we get them represented. So my advice to the next council, we should write to them and ask for permission for them so that they can attend. If it comes from the body, it carries a bit more weight. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tony. And just to assure you, particularly in the AGM we did in Kumasi, those letters went out. I think it was after Kumasi that we started doing the COVID thing. So we didn't really have to write to them to come out. I'm sure that this year we wrote, but I don't remember signing a letter like that, but it is a practice and I'm sure it will continue. So just to assist you on that, I think Aja had his hand up and then Hola has his hand up. I think we would be bringing our session to a close at 1 o'clock so we can go. There's a second session. If there are more questions, we'll take them when we get there. Yeah, Aja, please go ahead.
Thank you, Senior. I come back on the same thing about the members voting. I would recommend to council. Council is still in session. The current council is still in session. our constitution gives council sweeping powers. Okay, sweeping powers. Sometimes I think it should be limited. But on this particular subject, I'll recommend for the consideration of council to get into caucus and take a decision on this membership, whether probation, so that it gets into minutes. I would suggest that the easier thing, like the preposition of the president, go out, decide, this is the decision of council, so that it doesn't mean that the president, members are trying to bring something up and the president, let it be council. Council is still in session, and I think this is a way out. And I'll recommend to council to take a decision, and let the elections go on, so it gets onto the record that the right thing was done, pending clarification of it. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ajay. That is exactly what council will do. However, the voting will still continue, so that if we happen to declare that it is null and void, it's null and void, and not that when it is ready, it will stop. So, duly noted, we will take it up as council, which is the proper thing to do. Hola, please. We'll do it. No, we'll do it after we break here, and then we'll do it.
Yeah, I would like to speak a little bit about the membership and contribution to meetings and so on and so forth. I'll say it again here that I am on retirement now from the civil service. And yeah, I wish that, I want to re-emphasize what Tony said. I wish that we'll place people at the assemblies. It is very, very, very important. There's no show at the assemblies. So if the assemblies, for instance, at the World Architecture Day, I said something here. I shouldn't have said it the way I said it, but I had no choice. So if at the assemblies, I don't know how many assemblies that we have active architects. So if we want more members, I think what we should do is that we should push and do some pro bono work at the districts. If we do that, our members will increase. And you'll be surprised at what will happen when a meeting is called. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ola. Since we have till 1 and we have maybe about 7 minutes, nice to straddle between being honorary secretary and you have no idea my excitement of rejoining the common membership. Yes, or the ordinary membership. I'm very excited for the ordinary member because there, like my friend Charles and Stephen, we can talk. I'm very restricted by my position as secretary to be decorous in some of these things. But anyway, nonetheless, that's just my mind speaking. It is my opinion, just personally, that we need to find a way to have a presence at the MMDAs. It is critical. We need to. However, there's been a lot of talk about getting young architects at the MMDAs. And that comment itself is worrying to me. The very young architects, no disrespect. When I came out of school, having finished 6 years, I thought I knew a lot. And then I had the opportunity to work under Robert Hayford. And then I realized that I knew nothing. I knew nothing. The gentleman gave me a plan to do first work, and it was a small project. He says, okay, try your hands at this. And I tell the story continuously. And SM, you've worked with him. So I do the drawing, and I'm feeling major, here's the best student coming to the fray. I get there, and he tears the paper into two. And I looked at the guy, I was like, what is going on here? Then he gives me a sketch. I took his sketch, sat by my desk, looked at his drawing, took my sheets that had been torn into two, put them together, folded again, tore it into further pieces. Because even I could tell that what I had drawn was, ridiculous. So there's a lot to learn. And I don't think it's about the young architects going to work there. I think that it's about the older and more experienced architects adjuncting and working there and maybe having a young architect following. And it is for this reason that we have told the MMDAs that there are firms that are registered and in good standing with the ARC. Have the firms, like they do in every other country. Tecton is associated with an MMDA. He has an office. Even if you will pay him for a sitting 250 cedis, or for vetting drawings, 500 cedis, whatever the amount is, which you, the MMDA, are not paying, but the people who are looking, you see, the interesting thing about people who are building is that when you get to planning permit, you mention 100,000, they'll go and find it. Or the contractor, they'll pay. So make it part of the procedure that the money is not there. I speak for my young guy, I'm sure, oh, there's no clapping from the young architects. It's shocking. The older guys, technically, should have more money and, you know, having worked for a long time, be the ones to champion this thing because of their experience and have the young architects work with them to do this. So it is my opinion. And in this day and age of technology, I may not have to travel all the way to Wale Wale, even though we may have architects there. I mean, the Representative Tony Bandomi, who is my junior and very exciting gentleman who is very passionate about architecture, his office should be adjuncted there to ensure by that alone we make a difference. So there are many ways to do it. I've heard it, but we should also run away from the free talk. There's nothing free. The ministers are buying Land Cruiser, doing all kinds of funny things. We should pay the people, you know. We should run away from the free thing. Thank you very much. If there are no further comments, and we're almost sitting 1 o'clock, and I chair this session, I would ensure that we close on time or before time. I see my treasurer in-house. I'm sorry you were late, but the next session, we'll have you tell us about the money issue and where we are, and then we'll continue the deliberations. Just a final comment. I'm going to have the Electoral Commissioner representative to come and speak to us about certain challenges, and so that it will help with the voting. Please, Tony, with a round of applause, Tony.
Thank you, Honorary Secretary. Good afternoon. A number of you are having difficulty voting. We know about it. So please, if you are one of those that has a challenge, please send your WhatsApp number to 0241 921 557. It's supposed to be on the screen. Is it there? That is if you are in good standing. So if you know within yourself that you are not in good standing, don't waste your data. But if you are in good standing, do well to just send hi to this particular number, 0241 921 557, and we'll attend to you quickly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Electoral Commissioner. With that said, I'd like to bring this session to a close as we go out for lunch, just snacks. We will do this for 30 minutes. Do we agree, or 45? 30 minutes. It will be 1 o'clock, so we will reconvene here at 1:30 to continue the business of the day. Thank you all for your attention, and see you soon.
everyone, my name is Kunal Ram, Director of X Interior Design Limited, specialist in drainage and bathroom solutions. Over the past 12 years, X Interior Design has successfully provided bathroom and drainage solutions in projects in industrial, residential and commercial fields all over West Africa. Our vision is to be one of the largest bathroom and drainage solution providers in all of West Africa. We represent global brands such as Jaguar, Kohli, Glass, Accor and Salgar. Our products are readily available in Kumasi, Nakaraja, Tamale and Accra.
Jaguar is a complete bathroom solutions under one roof. We have faucets, sanitary ware, flushing systems, showers, shower enclosures, whirlpools, freestanding bathtubs, inbuilt bathtubs, spas, saunas and steam solutions.
So this is a manhole cover. It comes in round and square. We have composite and cast iron. We have the rooftop drains, kitchen galley drains, grease traps. Then we have the AquaQ Max for industrial or warehousing or port areas where you have a large surface area with heavy duty trucks passing. Then we have the monoblock drain, and we have the shower channels and for the various types of drains for both garage, entrance, balcony, etc.
Visit our showroom at Plot 34 Main Spintex Road, Accra.
Welcome to Stone Depot, Ghana's most trusted in natural stone, custom fabrication, and distribution. We produce from premium quality marble, granite, and quartz slabs procured from around the world. Stone Depot is also proud to be the official distributor of Cosentino products in Ghana, Southstone Quartz, and Decton Ultra Compact surfaces. Our factory in Accra is geared with state-of-the-art machinery and professionals who can assist in customizing different stone shapes and sizes to suit your unique needs. We fabricate and install your unique measurements and templates exactly as you want them. Our professionals have mastered this age-old trade and guarantee the precision, quality, and beauty your project deserves. Between 2019 and 2020, we've supplied the Ghanaian market with 24,000 square meters of natural stone and created over 100 new jobs. Over the years, and with thousands of satisfied clients, Stone Depot has placed itself as the most trusted natural stone fabricator in Ghana. Our professionalism is displayed in works such as the Signature Building, the African Regent Hotel, the National Memorial Monument for the late Jerry John Rawlings, the Tribute Memorial Statue for the late Major Mahama, Imperial Homes, and Clifton Homes. At Stone Depot, we are always one step ahead when it comes to innovative trends and technological advances in the natural stone fabrication market. We were first to recently embark on the development of epoxy resin-based terrazzo slabs. We invite you to discover the endless possibilities that we have to offer for all your upcoming projects.
If people from Messia, me metremu. Me this come am boss so any 1 year kura. Fantasy na na pay. The kaka cho see enko DBS. And also the banner show off as for DBS for credit material for from friend Color Link Plus. If a day is you are ya boss for favor na DBS for the boy. Na DBS insano. Yenko DBS for. Minia. Yes DBS for one chance bia. The board dance one. Empa enibi na mepe boga no kre Color Link Plus material bia DBS akofa free Europe aba ye the ball dance wa emfedi gidia ye wo munti amount 20 years warranty 20 years warranty look me jam about to new one you company be see ko boss no apa afedi Na saa color link plus material we say so. It was self cleansing properties bia. Insuo ta na ahokoro ne ho. Awo dem nso a, wo dem na you know. Say DBS forward, saa di pa say dia.